All right, let's talk about something that is, without a doubt, one of the most important financial tools you'll ever build. I'm talking about your emergency fund. Over the next few minutes, we're going to walk through exactly how to create a rock-solid financial safety net for yourself.
Okay, let me start by asking you a really tough question. Just think about it for a second. What if your income stopped tomorrow? What would you do?
Yeah, for most people, that's a thought that brings on some serious instant panic.
And why does that question cause so much stress? Well, because life is just unpredictable, right? A sudden job loss, a medical crisis you didn't see coming, a family emergency. These things don't exactly send you a calendar invite. They just happen. And that right there is the heart of the problem. Your income might suddenly stop, but your bills? Oh, they definitely don't. The real panic doesn't come from doubting you'll ever earn again. It's from the terrifying feeling of not being prepared for what's happening right now. Okay, so enough with the scary stuff. Let's dive into the solution because there is an incredibly powerful one. And it's not about some complex investment strategy or trying to time the market. Nope, it's all about building your very own personal financial safety net. So, what is this safety net? We call it an emergency fund. It's just a sum of money, a dedicated pile of cash that's set aside for one thing and one thing only: a real, genuine emergency. I love this analogy. Think of it as your financial airbag. You really hope you never, ever have to use it. But man, if a crash happens, it's there to save you from a truly catastrophic impact. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. It's a super common question. Shouldn't I be investing this money for better returns instead? And the answer is an absolute hard no. Your emergency fund has to come first, always. Here's why. Without it, any financial shock could force you to sell your investments at the worst possible time. When the market is down, locking in those losses. This fund, it's the shield that protects all your future investments. All right, so that brings us to the big question. How much? How much do you actually need in this fund? It's not just some random number you pull out of thin air. There's actually a really simple way to figure out your own personal target. So let's break it down. So here it is, the golden rule. You need to have 3 to 6 months worth of your essential living expenses saved up. And notice I said essential expenses, not your salary. That's a huge distinction. 3 months is your baseline, your absolute minimum. But 6 months? That's the sweet spot. That's a truly robust buffer against whatever life throws at you. Now, to get this number right, you've got to be brutally honest with yourself about the difference between your needs and your wants. Needs are the things you absolutely cannot skip: your rent or EMI, your utility bills, groceries, insurance. Wants, well, those are the things you could pause in a crisis. Think eating out, buying new clothes, or maybe cutting that one streaming subscription you never use. Your emergency fund calculation has to be based only on the needs. It's literally a 3-step process, super simple. Step 1, list out every single one of your monthly needs. And I mean, be thorough here. Step 2, add them all up. That total is your monthly magic number. And finally, step 3, multiply that total by 3 to get your minimum goal, and then multiply it by 6 to get your ideal goal. Boom, that's your target. So let's put some real numbers to this. Say your essential monthly expenses, just your needs, add up to 15,000 rupees. Well, that means your minimum 3-month fund is 45,000 rupees, and your ideal 6-month safety net, that's 90,000. You see? When you put an actual number on it, the goal suddenly feels so much more real and, honestly, a lot more achievable. Okay, so you've got your target number, awesome. But now comes the really important part. How do you actually build the fund? Because let's be real, knowing the number is one thing, but actually saving it, that's a whole different ballgame. But before we jump into the specific tactics, I want you to remember one thing. Progress matters way more than speed. Seriously. Don't get discouraged if your target number feels huge right now. Starting small is a million times better than not starting at all. Just think of it as a marathon, not a sprint. So here are 4 concrete steps you can take, starting today. 1. Pause your other investments. Yep, that means stocks, and yes, that even includes crypto. Right now, building this fund is your #1 priority. 2. Get ruthless with cutting your wants, just for a little while. 3. Any lump sum of cash that comes your way, a bonus, a tax refund, a cash gift, it goes straight into the fund, no questions asked. And 4, this is the most powerful one, automate it. Set up an automatic transfer to a separate account that happens the day you get paid. You're paying your future, protected self first. All right, you're on your way to building your fund. Fantastic. But where do you actually keep this money?
And this is a super critical question because parking it in the wrong place can literally defeat the entire purpose of having the fund in the first place. Your money has to follow 3 non-negotiable rules. Rule number 1, it's got to be safe. That means zero exposure to stock market risks. Rule 2, it's got to be liquid. That means you can get your hands on the cash fast. And rule 3, it has to be accessible. You need to be able to get to it at a moment's notice without jumping through a bunch of hoops or paying crazy penalties. Here's a really great strategy a lot of experts recommend. It's called the 10-20-70 rule. Here's how it works. You keep 10% in actual physical cash, for those rare situations where ATMs are down or cards aren't working. Then you put 20% into a high-yield savings account for immediate access. The last 70%, the biggest chunk, can go into liquid mutual funds. These are really low-risk funds that give you a slightly better return than a savings account, and you can usually get the money out in a day or two.
So let me be crystal clear about what this means. Your emergency fund should never be in stocks or crypto. Why? They're not safe. They're volatile. And it should also never be tied up in things like real estate or gold. Why? Because they're not liquid. You just can't sell a piece of your house or a gold bar when you need cash for an emergency tomorrow, right? You have to stick to those safe and liquid options.
Okay, so let's talk about the ultimate payoff here. Because honestly, this isn't just about numbers on a spreadsheet or your bank account balance. The real benefit of having an emergency fund is something you can't put a price on. It's genuine peace of mind. Let me give you a quick story to show you what I mean. Take Rahul. He lost his job completely out of the blue. But here's the thing. He had built up a 1.3 lakh rupees emergency fund. Because of that fund, he was able to cover his expenses for 5 whole months while he looked for a new job. No high-interest loans, no calling family for money, no panic. He just had breathing room. That is the power of being prepared. And this final thought really just sums it all up perfectly. An emergency fund doesn't make you rich, but it prevents you from becoming poor. It's not an investment tool to make you wealthy. It's a defensive tool. It's a shield designed to stop one single bad event from derailing your entire financial life. So I'm going to leave you with this one last question to really think about. After everything we've just talked about, take a second and ask yourself honestly, is your future protected? And if the answer is no, or even I'm not sure, then your first step, well, it starts today.